The movie begins by introducing us to a young boy named Brooks Rattigan. Brooks is a highly ambitious individual with dreams of achieving greatness in the future. However, his financial situation makes self-sustainability a challenge. As a high school senior, he aspires to attend Yale, which conflicts with his father Charlie's preference for him to go to the University of Connecticut. This university has offered Brooks a full scholarship, and Brooks holds his father in high esteem due to Charlie's past as a renowned writer. Brooks is determined to pursue his dreams and make the world a better place. His best friend, Murph, who specializes in apps, is a steadfast source of support throughout his journey. While Murph focuses on app development, Brooks assists him in his endeavors. Both of them work together at a Subway restaurant. Brooks decides to write an essay to further his dream of getting into Yale. He presents this essay to the school counselor, requesting her assistance in forwarding it as it represents his sole chance to gain admission to the university he desires. After reviewing the essay, the counselor informs him that to secure admission to Yale, he must achieve more than what his essay currently offers. Brooks heeds her advice and departs with a newfound determination. As Brooks leaves the counselor's office, he gazes at the cars of his affluent classmates and envisions a future where he can attain such luxuries. Upon returning home, he is confronted by his father, who echoes the counselor's sentiments. Charlie expresses their inability to afford Yale and suggests he opts for the University of Connecticut. This conversation leaves Brooks deeply upset, and he departs for work. At work, Brooks seeks advice from Murph regarding the essay's content. Murph recommends that he write about his mother abandoning him, a painful past experience. Brooks reflects on this and, despite the sadness it brings him, refocuses on his essay. At the store, some of Brooks's classmates, including a boy named Reese, arrive. Reese discusses his reluctance to be his cousin's dance partner and reveals his desire to spend the evening with his girlfriend instead. He mentions that the girl's father, who happens to be his uncle, is paying him a significant sum to accompany her to the dance. Brooks, overhearing their conversation, proposes a deal to Reese. If Reese allows him to take the girl on a date, Brooks will release Reese from his obligation. Initially puzzled, Reese eventually agrees when Brooks mentions the prospect of receiving both the car and the money. Reese hands over the car keys, leaving Brooks elated by the prospect of driving such a luxurious car and the promised money. Despite Murph's reservations, Brooks reassures him, emphasizing that he's merely helping a girl by taking her on a date as requested. Upon arriving at the designated address, Brooks is greeted by a seemingly intellectual and affluent man. While Brooks waits inside, he overhears a girl upstairs yelling and a woman downstairs complaining about her daughter's refusal to wear heels. Brooks is perplexed by this situation. Shortly after, the girl, Celia, makes her way downstairs wearing combat boots. Brooks introduces himself but receives a rude response from Celia. They hit the road, and it becomes evident that Celia is somewhat impolite. She insists that Brooks drop her off at a bookstore cafe and pick her up after a few hours, despite Brooks's intentions to take her to the dance. Although Celia objects to the idea, she has no alternative. They arrive at her high school, and Brooks persuades Celia to join him on the dance floor. Eventually, she begins to dance, and the two find their rhythm until the song changes. Celia starts feeling awkward, but Brooks takes her hand, and they resume dancing. However, Brooks spots a beautiful girl, and his attention shifts away from Celia. He ends up accidentally hurting her foot as he loses focus on the dance. Feeling remorseful, Brooks apologizes to her, rushes out, and promptly gets her an ice pack. As he sits with Celia, the pretty girl, Shelby, approaches them, apparently to check on the injured Celia. She introduces herself and invites them to a party. Brooks attempts to persuade Celia to go with him, but she declines, forcing him to bid her farewell. As they leave the party and Brooks is on his way to drop off Celia, she jokingly suggests that he should become a chaperone for rich girls on dates. Although it starts as a joke, Brooks begins contemplating the idea, realizing he has a knack for it. As they get closer to Celia's house, Brooks and Celia start getting along better. When he sees her walking perfectly fine as she approaches her house, Brooks realizes she had faked her injury to get home sooner. He expresses his desire to attend Shelby's party, but Celia advises against it, stating that it's for wealthy individuals, not someone from the working class. Celia goes inside her house, and her father pays Brooks for taking care of his daughter, even giving him an extra bonus for spending time with her. When Brooks returns to work, Reese comes to pick up his car. Brooks asks Reese how he can afford such a car when his parents aren't very wealthy. Reese doesn't provide a clear explanation and simply says he worked for it. This prompts Brooks to decide to work hard to afford a car like Reese's. The following day at work, Brooks tries to convince Murph to develop an app for him. Initially hesitant, Murph eventually agrees to consider the idea. That night, they work on their concept and create an app that allows users to choose their ideal date. Brooks is thrilled to see the app in action, and his friend playfully teases him about it. This is when Brooks decides that he won't engage in intimate relationships and will instead act as a chaperone. Murph builds an app to help Brooks track his progress, including the money he's saving for Yale. One morning, Brooks' dad informs him that he has received a scholarship to the University of Connecticut. However, Brooks is unhappy about it and makes it clear that he's set on attending Yale. This leads to another argument between them. Brooks starts to develop feelings for Shelby as he keeps an eye on her. One night, as he sits down to work on his essay, he receives a request on the app and decides to meet a girl at an art show. The girl is genuinely impressed by him, and soon, his app becomes increasingly popular as he receives numerous requests. He then goes to tennis practice and counsels a girl on dating as well. Whenever he goes on a date, he conducts thorough research and consistently impresses his clients with his performance. In no time, he becomes a sought-after companion, attending dance parties, games, and other events. He finds himself constantly occupied, always on his phone due to the continuous stream of data requests he receives from girls. This newfound venture brings him considerable wealth, allowing him to pursue his dream of attending Yale. One morning, he receives a call from Celia, who tells him she needs his assistance to make her crush jealous. She expresses her desire to attend Shelby's party, and Brooks eagerly agrees, seizing the opportunity. During their conversation, he also mentions his app, outlining the entire plan. That night, they arrive at Shelby's house, and Brooks is taken aback by its grandeur. When they get to the party, Shelby welcomes them. Just as Brooks is about to mention where he actually lives, Celia intervenes, portraying him as a wealthy guy residing in Darien, a well-to-do neighborhood. In reality, Brooks hails from working-class Bridgeport. Celia's crush, Franklin, arrives, and they seem to hit it off. When Brooks notices their connection, he discreetly exits, hoping to find Shelby, his own crush. Shelby approaches him, and they engage in conversation. After some time, Brooks returns to Celia and inquires about her progress with Franklin. She's thrilled and reveals that they're planning to go on a date soon. As they share a cup of ice cream, they hatch a plan to stage a fake breakup. This scheme will help Celia pursue her interest in Franklin while also gaining Shelby's sympathy. Brooks is excited, as he now has two wishes: to attend Yale and to date Shelby. Celia mentions that her dad is friends with the president of Yale and promises to ask him for a favor. Brooks expresses his gratitude. The next day at work, Brooks notices that Murph is acting differently and not in a good mood. When questioned, Murph admits that he feels their friendship is dwindling due to their limited time together. Brooks apologizes and assures Murph that they'll soon have more time together. The next day, Brooks goes to a rich girl's house and receives a call from Celia, who informs him that her dad has set up a meeting with the dean of undergraduate admissions. At the meeting, Brooks pretends to be someone he's not, impressing the dean but disappointing Celia, who wanted him to be himself. Celia goes on a date with Franklin but realizes he's not the right fit for her. At another party, Celia and Brooks pretend to break up, and although they stage it, Celia starts developing feelings for Brooks after the fake breakup. Shelby kisses Brooks and asks him to accompany her to her school formal. However, the two struggle to connect and hold a conversation at the formal event. Brooks notices Leah, a girl who had used his app for dating practice, and she reveals the details of his app to Shelby, who is offended and disgusted by its theme. Brooks, in an act of honesty, confesses that he's not from the wealthy town Shelby believes he's from and that he needs the money for Yale. Shelby calls him a liar and leaves. Brooks approaches Celia, who is also at the dance. She declines his offer to dance, saying she's not a backup. Disheartened, Brooks returns home and talks to his dad about the recent events in his life. His dad reminds him that nobody truly knows who they are, and he expresses his pride in the person Brooks is becoming. Brooks decides to accept the offer from UConn, realizing that pretending to be someone else to go to Yale isn't what he wants. He reconciles with Murph and Celia and writes a letter to Celia, expressing his changed perspective on life. Celia visits Brooks at home, apologizes for slapping him earlier, and the two go to the Sub Sandwich restaurant, where Murph is also present. Murph reveals his admission to UConn, and Brooks and Celia reconcile with a kiss. The three of them continue to dance until the end of the film. Thanks for watching.